Hello YouTube, and today I'm going to show you how to replace a toilet like this one, where the toilet has actually been tiled around in the floor, so you need a toilet to cover the tiles in the floor. So on this one, what you will find out how to do is isolate the water, how to adapt all pipework and fittings to seat the new toilet, silicone the new one, fit a toilet seat, block up the old overflow holes, complete job from start to finish. So stick along if this is the type of project you're thinking about doing in the future, or you can just follow it along step by step. This video is quite long, it's about 40 minutes long, but it does show you all the steps you need to get the job done. So make sure you follow along, pause the video at the steps you need. Make sure you watch the whole video first before attempting this yourself, as you do need some parts and things do go wrong, so you have to get the parts ready for every situation. But for now, let's get into it. First of all, what you want to do is locate and isolate the water supply feeding the toilet. This one has a local isolation. You might need to turn your mains water off to do this job. So with that off, I'm then going to remove the cistern lid and check by flushing the toilet that it's not filling up. So I know the isolation valve is working correctly and it's now safe to work on. So with the toilet flushing, as you can see, it's not filling up. So I know it's safe to work on this toilet. So with the water isolated, I'm going to put a nice big towel underneath this pipe. I'm going to undo the pipe feeding the fill valve, which is just above. You might have a different connector and you might need to undo the compression nut or just cut the pipe. As long as you know it's safe, that the water supply is not feeding the toilet, make sure you cut above the isolation valve and catch any water in your towel or a little bucket. Here I've just got a roller cutter. You can get these on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description for all the tools you need to get this job done. So make sure you check out the description for any tools you might need, including this roller cutter, pliers, wrenches, pipe cutters, and a wet vacuum to suck any water up that you need. Next, you need to undo these rusted bolts. If these bolts are rusted on and you can't get them off, then do check this video out in the top corner on how to remove some rusted corroded bolts. So you want to remove the right one and the left one, lefty loosey, to undo these. With them off, you can then cut and remove the overflow pipe, which is this one on the left. This won't have any water in it, so it's safe to cut if it looks like this. So I've just cut that, and then you can remove that from the wall by twisting it out like so. With them two disconnected, it's now time to unscrew these two bolts or screws holding the system back to the wall. I managed to unscrew the left one, but the right one had completely rusted out and I had to lift the system off without that one being unscrewed. But luckily it just pulled through the system, as you can see. So now you can take the system off from the wall, so like so. This will have water in it, so what I do is then tip the water back down into the toilet bowl. Just be careful when doing this, do it nice and slowly and tip that in there. Then you can remove that and take that downstairs or to the skip. So next what we're going to do is actually unscrew the toilet from the base. I'm just going to tidy up these rust particles, make sure they don't drop on the floor or carpet. So what you're going to need is either a Phillips, a posi, or a flathead screwdriver, depending on the screw type you have. So before removing it, what you need to do is obviously remove my biscuit and coffee out of the way, And I've got myself a wet vacuum. This one's from Wix, but I will leave one in the description of one you can get on Amazon. And you're just going to suck the water out of the water bowl like so, and then put that to one side. And now we're going to unscrew these screws. Once again, these could be rusted on and you might need to drill them out. If not, you can actually skip this step and just go to the next step, which is just smashing the toilet apart. So that's what you can do in this situation. So what I'm going to do now is, because it's been tiled in, you then need to smash around the base of the tiles at the toilet to stop it breaking any of the tiles, because this bathroom was actually renovated about 4 years ago, so these are new tiles, but they never changed the toilet. So all you want to do is just smash around the base of the toilet like so, all the way around, and it should wobble out like so. Give it a big old wobble and it will pull out from the waste connector. Just going to put some tissue down by the waste connector because there will be a bit of water. This water will be dirty, so do be careful. You might need some wipes, cloth and gloves. With that removed, you can then also chuck that outside ready to be disposed of. Then we're going to tidy up all these fragments of china, so do be careful. Make sure you do tidy up as you go. These parts will be very sharp. I'm just tidying up the grout around these tiles. So as you can see, just tidy it up, put it all into a nice rubber bag, hoover and sweep thoroughly before moving on to the next step, because it only takes one piece to go in your finger or in your foot, and then you will be spending the day in A&E. So make sure you tidy as you go. Also on this job, I need to tidy up these tiles because they won't be covering these tiles, and I will be replacing these tiles. So next, what you want to do is get your new toilet and bring that into the room. So you just need the base of the toilet, you don't need the cistern. Carefully place that on the tiles and get ready to install this. So what we're going to do is we're going to offer it up to the waste connection. Make sure you're happy with the fit and that it covers the tiles. You should have already done your measurements of this before buying the toilet, because every toilet is different. I took many measurements on this toilet, and as you can see, I've got it spot on of the one I needed. So next we're going to check around the back for the waste connection, and as you can see, we need to get a measurement from this bit of the china to this piece of the waste connector. And I'm going to get myself a McAlpine WC pan connector, and I'm going to measure that gap and cut it about 1 inch or 2 longer, so it goes quite deep inside the waste connection. So I'm using this WC Con 2, which is a cut down pan connector. So as you can see, I've already cut this one down to size. Your size might be different. So put that onto the toilet. Then I'm just going to use some hand gel as lubricant, as it helps it ease into the fittings easier. So a few squirts of that and a few wipe around. Then you can offer your toilet into these connections. So these should just slide in, and a little push and wiggle. Push them all the way in, so there is a nice firm seal. With your waste connection done, you're now ready to connect your cistern and make your cistern up ready. So a nice big towel to cover the new toilet is required, like so. And then you can bring your new cistern in, like so. And also on this one, I'm swapping out some of the cistern bolts for some Viva accessory kits. Once again, I'll leave some descriptions down below, and I'm also going to fit a flexi isolation valve. So this is a cistern accessory kit. Comes with the 3 bolts, which are leak free, unlike the ones provided in the kit with the toilet. I 120% believe that you should upgrade to these for an extra £5. They will stop any leaks, as I've had this in the past when using the cheap ones, they do leak. So you want to grab your bolts, and you want the metal washer first, followed by the rubber washer. You want 2 of these made up ready, just like this. metal washer first, followed by the rubber domed washer facing downwards. Then you want to locate these into the small holes of the cistern. So you want to go from inside the system, have a good feel around and poke them through. 1 and 2. Then next, on the bottom side, you want to go rubber washer facing up towards the base of the cistern, followed by another metal washer, followed by the small nut, not the winged nuts, it's the small 7 or 8 mil nut. So as you can see, you do it in this order: conical washer, metal washer, followed by the little nut. Now these can be quite stiff to get on, so you do need to hold against the bolts from the inside and slide them all the way up to make contact with the cistern. Next, you want to wind your little bolt up all the way to make a connection with the washers. Do this on both of these. So now you want to grab yourself a Phillips screwdriver and locate that on the top of the screw head, and you need to screw that clockwise down till it bites quite hard. Then you want to grab yourself a set of grips or an adjustable spanner to hold the little nut at the bottom, and then continue to screw till the washers are nice and tight. They will squidge out a bit, that's when you know that they're nice and tight and leak free. So also in the pack there will be 2 plastic washers, 2 more metal washers and 2 wing nuts. Put them to one side as you'll be needing them later, but currently not right now. Next, you want to get your kit which comes inside the toilet cistern, and you want to open that up. So it comes with its own rubber washer, you can use that. Once again, I will not be using that. Comes with a flush button, that will be used last in this process. Put that to one side. Comes with a nice chunky fill valve. So what you want to do is unwind this nut and the washer below, but leave the rubber washer on. Then you want to locate it in the smaller hole of the 2 that's left, and you want to face this tight into the corner of the cistern. You don't want this pointing towards the middle of the cistern because the flush valve still needs to go in and it will be touching it. So I'm going to tuck this nice and tight in the corner. This just operates at an up and down motion. Just give it a good 5 mil clearance from any sides, but do tuck it into the corner of the cistern. Next, you want to tighten the nut up underneath. I'm just in a set of grips. Nice and gently, you'll feel it to go tight. Once again, do not over tighten these because they are plastic and you probably will just snap the nut. Once it feels tight, then it probably is. Next, you want to get your flush valve. Once again, these are the plastic bolts that I was talking about that you do not want. That's what we have replaced. So remove the big nut from the bottom and also there is another little nut to go with it, or washer, plastic washer. You want them two to go at the bottom of the cistern, and you want the rubber washer to sit inside the cistern, like so. So as you can see, so these flush valves do just twist and spin to remove them. And what you want to do is locate the top two buttons. You want them to be left and right, and you want the overflow pipe, which is the pipe down the side, to face the opposite side of the fill valve. So just place that through the middle, then thin washer and backing nut, wind them on, and once again you're going to need your big grips to tighten these on. So you do need a pair of grips that do open quite wide. These are expensive, but I'll leave a link in the description of a pair that you can get. So once again, what you're going to do is just start to tighten this up, and you'll feel it to go tight. Once it goes a bit tight, just give it a nice few turns, like so. Next, I'm going to get the foam washer out of the accessory kit, because these two, I did not like the way they sat on the sill. They're probably absolutely fine, but it's just personal preference that I do prefer the foam washer. As you can see, it's just not sitting right on the threads, and it kept popping off. So that's why I like to use the foam washer. It creates a nice seal between the cistern and the china of the toilet pan. So that's why I like to use the nice donut washer. Next, you're going to lift the whole thing up, and you're going to place it onto the toilet, like so, just to make sure everything sits nice. On this job, I've had to replace a few tiles left and right, so as you can see, I'm just going to quickly do these with leveling them down, cutting them, and fitting 2 new tiles. So with them 2 tiles now replaced, we're then going to carry on with installing this toilet. Once again, putting the foam donut washer on. I'm also going to put the flexi on now with the isolation valve. So once again, you're going to screw that on to your fill valve. So with this, you want to go anti-clockwise till you feel it lock in place. Then you want to screw it clockwise. So you'll feel it click, and then you can go clockwise. Do this by hand till it starts to go tight, and then you can just give it a good half a turn with a set of grips or an adjustable spanner. Once again, this adjustable spanner, I'll leave a link in the description. Next, you're going to lift the whole cistern up and locate the fill valve flexi through the hole, 2 bolts through the bolt holes, and make sure your foam washer sits nice and flat on the toilet, like so. Now from underneath, this is where you need the other part of the fitting kit. It's the plastic washers, the metal washer, and the wing nuts. So the plastic washer goes on first to make contact with the china, followed by the metal washer and the wing nut. This can be quite fiddly. Once again, you probably need to go anti-clockwise first to locate the wing nut, and then it's a case of just doing it up with your finger and flicking it. As you can see, there's no room under here, so it is all mainly by feel, so do just go easy. If the wing nut is tight when screwing it up, then you're probably cross-threading it, and do start again. Do not force this up because you'll ruin the thread and you'll have to replace all the bolts again in the toilet system. They should be nice and free going up the spine of the bolt. So do one side and then do the other side nice and loosely for now. So once you've done one side, then you can do the other one. As you can see, it is very tight in here, and once again, my years of experience of doing these, you just get the feel for it. I do remember doing my first one and it taking me a good 5 to 10 minutes to locate onto the thread, and I was getting frustrated, but it's just a feel. You can feel when it's right. So then both nice and tight by hand. The next thing you want to do is grab yourself a little boat level, and you want to level the cistern against the wall. So put your level on it and work out which way you need to tighten each bolt. So I tightened up the right one, then the left one and the right one. And then once you're happy with its level, you want to grab yourself a drill and a tile drill bit, and you want to screw the cistern back to the wall. So I'm using an SDS on the spin setting with a 6mm masonry bit. I'm just going to drill through the tiles into the tiles behind. Then I'm going to use some red raw plugs and some inch screws just to wind back. Next, we're going to adapt the cold water fill valve to this toilet. So on this one, it is on a shower pump. So I've isolated the water feeding this pipe. You might need to turn your main stopcock off. If you don't know where your main stopcock is, do check under your sink. I also have a video up here on how to turn off the water in your house. So with that off, we're then going to put a elbow connector on this flexi and onto this copper pipe. So with that all connected, I'm going to make sure the isolation valve is turned off. So that's in the vertical position. I'm going to turn the water supply back on, feeding the toilet. And then I'm ready to then dry up all the fittings, make sure there's no leaks on the side before the isolation valve. And then I can turn on the isolation valve and test the toilet, make sure there is no leaks, feeding the toilet inside. So I'm going to fill that all up. So I'm just going to check that there's no leaks under here, make sure it's all nice and dry. Just run your fingers around all the joints, make sure they're all nice and dry and there's no weeps. If there is a few weeps, then just give them another quarter turn with your grips and adjustable spanner. So with the toilet system filled, what I like to do is lightly press on the flush valve just to fill the bowl up, and I can check for any leaks. If you full flush it, then you are sending 6 litres of water down, and if there is a leak, there's going to be quite a lot of water. So I like to lightly press on the flush valve and just trickle the water in and check for any leaks. Once you're happy with that, then you can give it a full flush and you are dry, then you are happy. I like to test about 5 times before moving on, because it only takes 1 drip and then you have to start again. So now's the best time to check for any leaks. Leaks will not sort themselves out. If there's a leak, then do need to start again and work out where the leaks came from and get it fixed. So here I'm just putting some toilet paper down so I can check the flush, and if it's happy with it, it will take the paper away, which it does. So I'm happy with that. So I can move on to the next step, which is fitting this toilet seat. So grab the toilet seat. You might have one in the box, you might have to buy one separately. Check out the video in the top corner on how to measure a toilet seat if you haven't got one, and you can then get the toilet seat you need for the toilet shape you have. So now we're moving on to fitting the cistern lid and the button. So what you want to do is grab the button you put to one side and the cistern lid. And what you want to do is put the cistern lid on, make sure it fits nicely on top of the cistern. And you want to grab yourself the flush button and unpack it like so. There is also a backing nut on this one to tighten it on. You want to unscrew that so it's all ready to go through the cistern. So undo the nut and put it to one side. Take off the cistern lid, poke the button through like so, and then re-secure with the fixing nut. As you can see on the flush valve with the blue and white markers, you also need to have the same orientation on your flush button as that, which is left to right, so the half moons need to go left to right. So on a flush valve, the blue one is normally your big flush, so that needs to be your big button on the flush button itself. So now you want to place your cistern lid back on. Now this is the part that everyone seems to get a little bit wrong. So as you can see with these buttons, before they engage with the flush valve, there is a bit of a dip before they engage. So with this, what you want to do is unscrew these two plastic rods until that your button engages a lot higher up. You don't want them tight because then the water will trickle into the pan. You will push down the flush valve and it will think it's flushing. But you just want to make this little part here a lot less, because if it's too big it won't do a full flush. So you just need to unwind them until there's a little bit of a dip before you press it, about 1 or 2 millimeters, but you don't want them super tight. So you just want to keep doing this to make sure they're nice and the right correct length, like so. As you can see, there's not much movement there at all, which is perfect. Then you can test it and make sure it flushes correctly. Next, on this one, I have not used the fixing kit because I did not install this bathroom and I do not know what's underneath. So what I do is I silicone these caps on. So a little bit of silicone in the hole, then you put your plastic fixing cover on, like so. Now we're going to reseal the toilet to the floor. For this I use a nice Dow Corning white silicone and a silicone tool and also a spray bottle. These are the tools you need for a good finish of siliconing. So what you want to do is you want to apply a nice big bead of white around the base of the toilet first. And as you can see, this doesn't have to be the neatest job, you just need to get a load on there. Make sure you get loads on there. So as you can see, I've probably put about 20 mil thick of silicone because it's harder to add some on after. So you always want to go over now. So I've gone big now. Then you want to spray lightly with your spray. And you want to start on a big setting with your siliconing tools. So I started here with a 17 mil big bead and just work down the sizes to the size you want. On this one I've gone for a 10 mil. So as you can see, you wipe a bit and wipe it off. The best thing with this is to work slowly and in sections because silicone is very messy and most people do say, I don't like silicone because it's messy. And the tip is to go slowly, use plenty of toilet roll or wipes. And as you can see, just work from the biggest setting down to the smallest. This does take a lot of time, but it is the finished article, so you do want to get this right. So work your way down, and then once again, spray it lightly, and then I'll work it over with my finger, just for a nice smooth finish. Next, I'm going to fill in the old overflow hole while I've got the silicone out. So once again, I put a nice big bead on it. Then I spray it with the spray bottle and I smooth it over just to cover that in. And there you go. Here is the finished toilet. I hope this video has helped someone. Please do subscribe to the channel, like the video and leave the comment if it has helped. If you need any questions answering, leave a comment. I'm more than happy to help with any questions you have. Once again, every install is different, so do take your time, take lots of measurements before doing anything. Make sure you locate the isolation, and if you do, once again, have any questions, leave them in the comments. I hope this video has helped. I hope to see you around soon. Take care and goodbye.